Hi, this is Owen Jones. I'm just going to demonstrate an add-in I made for Visual Studio 2010 as part of a software design recovery course I'm taking at Queen's University. So I'll just open up Visual Studio. And I'll actually open up the solution that contains the add-in. So we'll just take a quick look at the code. This is the description in more details available as part of my report, and the full source code will be available by request. So basically, this form takes user input and submits queries that we can see here. It submits the queries. It's quite simple. Just if the string is empty, it sends in the wildcard character to get the default search, or it inputs the user's query. And what this does, we can just actually go to the implementation of the query. It takes the arguments as I just showed. Now this is where the add-in information comes. So this application object is the instance of the IDE that we're running right now. So what we do is we grab the panes object so we can control the output of as a result of the query. This is just the title of the output window, and then we start outputting information. So we just list the query terms to remind the user, and then we initialize a class of the AST analyzer. So what this is a class I implemented that extends or implements rather the interface of a C# parser that I obtained under the GPL license. This C# parser is detailed in my report, so I won't go into detail now. But basically, this class, the interface it implements, it just takes the different things, the different code pieces that the program, the parser parses, and what my implementation does, it structures and format that I can easily read in my program. So going back to the run query method, what we do is, using again the IDE application, what we do is for each project in the solution, we make sure there's a valid file, and in this case we're only going to parse C# files. We output the file name. This is all just to do with reading the file and other kind of debug information. And now this is where we actually call, this is the C# parser with my application object that implements an interface so it recognizes it. So once we have the results from that, we then filter it based on the user input. So what this does is it descends through the user's query and prunes based on what they input. So here we're inputting the result of the parser and all the arguments. So what this filter namespaces method does is it compares the namespaces argument to check for wildcard at the beginning, and or if the whole thing is a wildcard. And then what it does is it filters the classes contained in that namespace and passes in the arguments. So what I was saying before about the pruning, basically, before we return this as a namespace in our result, we only return it as a result if there's more than one class in it, or if we haven't specified that any sub-argument should narrow it down. So if they're all empty and we have a result, then we should output it. But if they're not all empty, then we need to have a result that comes back before we can add it to the result. Similarly, the filter classes checks the methods and parameters, and the filter methods checks just the parameters, and then the parameters doesn't have to check anything below it because it is the lowest level that this parser goes to. So I'll just run another instance of the Visual Studio IDE so I can open up a more interesting project. So this subtext solution, this is an open source C# blogger. I haven't experimented with this blogger too much, but it is interesting for demoing my add-in because it has lots of C# files that we can test with this. So as I mentioned when I was going through the source code, the add-in outputs to the IDE output window, and I'll show you how that works in a second here. So I'll just run the add-in from the Tools menu. So now we have our window. So the instructions say that if you don't enter anything, then it basically is just a wildcard. No filters will be applied. So we just want to see what the parser gets in all the C# files here. So we'll just submit that. And we can see it's a pretty big solution, and it ran quite quickly. So what it does here is it lists the C# file, and then it lists everything below it that it parses. So the fact that there's nothing below archives and assembly info means there's nothing that our parser could grab from it that we would care about. So the first one here we see is blog. It's in the namespace subtext framework. Has a class blog, a method blog, and a parameter integrate blog. So this isn't all that interesting, but what I will show you here is that the way the add-in outputs these to the output window is we can actually navigate from here. So if we double click on anything in here, it'll take us to the location of that file. So if I want to see this method blog here, I just double click and it opens up that file and takes us to the method blog, which is the constructor. So here, this is where I can show how useful this is. So first of all, this is useful because it's integrated right into the development environment that people are used to and comfortable with. But say using the IDE's search, if we were looking for something, it allows us to search in all open documents, the project or solution, but it doesn't allow us to specify we only want to know functions with the names or classes with the names. So that is where my add-in comes in. We can do searches basically on any one of these abstraction levels. So if we want to know the classes that say start with file, we'll put the wildcard there. We can see it goes through lots of C# files, but it only finds it in this file browser connector, the namespace, the class, and then all the methods contained in there. So we can look at these. Another example that came up in class was during the Y2K scare, users needed to search for references to dates so they could change them or make sure that they couldn't be corrupted. So if we just search for date as a parameter, we do get some results, although yeah, we actually do see results throughout the framework, where we have parsing UTC dates, checking if a date is null, and syndication dates. I assume that's implementation specific. So that concludes the demo. If you have any questions about it, there is a report on this which I can send to you, and also if you're interested in the full source code, I can also send that to you if you're interested in extending this add-in. I can be contacted at owen.jones@queensu.ca, And thank you for watching this, and wish me luck.